Tell me.
Welcome back to the Haddonfield Horse Podcast, where we review horror movies and horror movie franchises. I'm Tawan,
I'm Maria.
and today we're reviewing 30 Days of Night, Dark Days, released in 2010, directed by Ben Katai, and a screenplay by Steve Niles and Ben Katai. Maria, can you give us the plot summary?
As a surviving Barrow, Alaska, Stella moves and attracts the attention of local vampires, intending to avenge the death of her husband.
So, 30 Days of Night, Dark Days. Last week we just did the first one, which is the only theatrically released version of the 30 Days of Night franchise. This movie is a direct-to-DVD sequel, which, as horror movie fans, we all know how those can fare. And this one is definitely up there with some of the worst, in my opinion. I had not seen this movie prior to us doing this episode on it. Honestly, really didn't even know that it existed prior to this. But I'm usually not a fan of direct-to-DVD sequels, especially when none of the actual cast from the original comes back anyway. And in this one, literally no one was back for the movie. So I was already had a bad feeling about it. And then when I actually watched it, it was giving very much sci-fi original movie, but even those were better. um, it just it just was not good. Like, this was not like a good movie. It was very boring. Like, I didn't really get anything from it. It didn't add anything to Stella's story. They honestly could have just did this with somewhat like any other character, and honestly, we would have had the same outcome. The only thing that Stella added was just being like being that she went through the whole thing in Barrow. But besides that, like, there wasn't nothing much here. And yeah, they did recast her as well for this, which, I mean, I'm glad the original actress did not have to subject herself to this movie, because I would have felt bad for her. But yeah, the person that they got to portray her in this movie, it was just not, she was just not it. He was not really doing it for me. But Maria, what were your initial thoughts with this movie?
This movie was just bad. It was so bad. I started it because this. I mean, okay, this is my first time watching it, and I was like 5 minutes in, and I was just gonna be like, I can't do it, you guys. Like, what is this? Because it was just bad. Like, everything about it was bad. The acting was so uh cringe. I feel like it definitely lost a lot of what happened in the first movie, I feel. and
Yeah.
it was just it's just not serious. Nothing about this movie was serious. Um, it was just a really bad movie. Like,
Yeah. It was not giving anything. It gave nothing. It's actually it's in the trash.
yeah, like I could tell just 5 minutes in that it was just not gonna be great.
Yep. Yep. Literally that first scene where it was like recreating the ending from the
Yeah,
first one.
I was like,
I was like, what? Okay. um, I watched this movie at on 1.5x speed on Tubi to the listeners, and honestly, 1.5 wasn't enough. Like I told Maria, I needed a 2x speed for this because it still felt over long with at that speed, and I don't think I've ever had to do that with a movie before. It just wasn't. It was like felt like that much to just get through, but moving along. I doubt there were probably any scenes that stood out, but weren't there any scenes that you liked or stood out, Maria?
well, there definitely were no scenes that I liked, but I was very interested. I mean, on top of everything else, right? But I was like, when they like showed Lilith for the first time, and I was expecting
Right?
some like baddie, you know, like I was expecting her to look like, because you know how like in the first movie, the girlfriend or the mate of the main vampire, like her were
Mhm.
very like, not, they were very distorted, but they were kind of scary. But like she just so
Yeah.
normal, you know?
Yeah, I thought the same. Like she seemed like a little
She
teenager.
did.
She didn't even seem like a grown like woman or anything. She felt like a teenager or something, and I was very confused because she wasn't giving like this almost a zombie, this vampire that that's so like the head of all of them, and we're supposed to be scared of her. Like she wasn't giving any of that. She was giving like a newly turned like vampire, like the guy who played the villain, like the main one in in the first movie. Like he felt like he was like the
Yeah.
leader, but Lilith didn't feel like she was the leader. She looked like Lily Collins, and I can't take Lily Collins seriously as a leader.
Not really Colin.
That's what she looked like to me. And also, I felt her, whatever vampire teeth they gave her, they looked really out of
They
place.
did. They look so. I just don't know what the hell they were doing with her. And it's weird because it's like, it's literally just her. Everybody else looked kind of like the way they looked in like the first movie. But like, they just made her too
Yeah,
normal looking for some reason. Like,
no, that's very true.
and like, I think when she like came out of the bathtub, the bloody bathtub, I was expecting some like horror, just something. I don't know. Maybe I was just expecting too much from this movie. But but no, and I was just like, what the fuck even is this? Like
She was not
she was
giving.
definitely not scary at all. And that, I mean, on top of the other disappointments that this movie was giving, this was like one of the main ones, because I was like, they could have done so much in that scene. Like, all right, like your script is
Mhm.
trash, like, that's just something you gotta live with. But like, I don't know. They could have done so much in that one scene, and they just didn't. Uh, and not to mention, blood in this movie looks it wasn't even bloody.
It did.
Like I don't even know what to say.
When what was his name? I think his name was Dane or Dante, the one guy who was like the vampire, but he was still kind of
Yeah,
coherent. When he went to the refrigerator to drink out of the blood bag, it literally looked like Kool Aid.
it did.
It looked like dark red Kool-Aid when he poured it in the cup.
Yeah, I don't know why the hell.
I was like,
Yeah,
what is that?
like the blood, like the like isn't giving, and it's like how are you gonna fuck up the blood? I don't know. That's just I oh,
Yeah, that I definitely agree with that.
and then like the scene where she kills Lilith, and then they just let her go and she leaves. Like you're not gonna like. I don't understand why the fuck she keeps doing this. Like I'm pretty sure it's not enough to just kill the leader. Like why don't you kill everybody? But no, she just left, and it's supposed to be this like iconic scene of like, oh, maybe they're scared of her, they respect her. Like no, like I don't know, maybe she, uh, I don't know. It was a dumbass scene, I guess. I was not impressed.
Yeah, I think some for me. One scene that I will say I I liked, but just because it reminded me of a scene from a better movie, was when they were doing the interrogation on the one vampire, and they were like shining him with the UV lamp and like burning him up. That's literally a scene out of the first Blade movie.
Really?
And it was done so much better in that movie. Yeah, they literally it was in the scene. Blade was doing an interrogation on the vampire, and to get the information out of him, he was shining like the black light on the vampire. And that was like in the first Blade movie.
I feel like they were.
And I remember that it made me remember it.
I feel like they were trying to take a lot of movies. Because it felt like they were trying to make her
I
like
could definitely see that.
specific. What's her fucking name? So like this movie was so. Oh my, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, Torn. This movie, I don't know, man. This movie, oh, it's just so bad. Like I wouldn't.
Outside of like that scene, um, I feel like everything else for me was a bad one. Maria definitely mentioned one like the scene where Stella killed Lilith. It was very anticlimactic. They tried to make it seem like it was like such a badass move, and it was just so anticlimactic. Like no, it didn't feel deserved at all. It felt like we had 15 minutes left and they needed to wrap this up.
Yeah, like they were like, maybe we should.
Um, no, no, for real. But let me see. Was there anything else? I know. I feel like I'm trying to remember. I just watched it, but it's very unremarkable in my head. Um, okay, one scene that I didn't like, that's also confused me, was Lilith randomly speaking English, because she hadn't spoken English the entire time, and then like midway she said like a couple words, and then she was just talking to Stella in English the entire time. Like when they had that little scene where they the vampires took the detective or the FBI guy, and Lilith was talking in like her native language or whatever it is, and the vampires were translating. I'm like, but she could speak English the whole time. Why not just speak English? What was the point of all of that? It was like they had no consistency.
No, yeah, I agree with that too. Like it made no
Uh,
sense. That I don't know. That whole thing just didn't make any sense. Like it's like if you were gonna have her speak English to talk to these like to Stella. I don't know. I don't know, bro. I don't know. What the fuck, dude. It made no sense.
um, moving on from our scenes, were there any kills that you enjoyed in this movie, Maria?
No. Oh.
I will say for me, Not that I enjoyed it. I thought this was funny when Stella gets back to her like motel hotel after the little conference that she did when she randomly killed those two vampires in front of the whole crowd, and like the like vampire slayer squad was like in her hotel room, and they had the one vampire that was following them and tried to break into the room, and he like poked his head in, and they all just let loose on him. That was so funny to me for some reason. Which is it's even funnier because nobody heard that. And I was at the motel, like nobody else heard that. I know the police eventually got called, but that was their doing. But that was just a pretty funny little moment to me.
But you know what was so kind of funny about that
But
moment was that they had all this like they were trying to make that group seem so badass, and then they got killed.
oh god, they definitely did.
And it's like what was the whole of it now?
Oh man. Moving on, though, since you brought them up, we will be getting into our characters. And our first little group is just the vampire hunters, we'll exclude Stella. We'll talk about her separately. But just like the vampire hunters in general, um, they were useless. They were a pretty useless group of vampire hunters for some people that said they've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, they were definitely 1,000% useless. Like I don't, I don't even know what to say.
Especially the one girl. She was she made herself seem like she was tough shit like when they first met up with Stella, and then literally at each time they had to go do something, she was like, should we really do this, should we be doing this? I'm like, I thought you did this already. Like, what's so different now?
No, yeah, she was definitely like I don't know what they were trying to do. And you know, and the thing is like when she first met Stella, she was like fuck this. She tried to seem so badass and it's like bitch, but this whole
Mm-hmm.
fucking time fucking suck. Like she got a lot of them killed. I'm a her for
Yeah,
it.
she definitely got the black dude
Yeah,
killed.
100% she did. Like that was her fault because she wouldn't shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and that pissed me off, and it pissed me off even more when he started turning because he got bit, and like neither of them wanted to finish him off. I mean, I get it, but when Stella did it, she like took the gun to Stella. It was like, I'd fucking kill you. I'm like, girl, you couldn't even kill any of the vampires, nor could you help sacrifice your friend here, which you all agree you would do if you got bit. Like, I understand, I definitely do, but either he goes or the rest of y'all go get turned. Like, come on now.
They like reminded me a lot of like just amateurs, you know. Like
They
have you?
did.
I don't know. Have you seen that one show on Hulu? What We Do in the Shadows. You know
Yes.
how like, and then I think it's like the first season when they're like those amateur vampire hunters, and they go inside that house full of vampires, trying trying to hunt them. That's what
Mm-hmm.
they reminded me of. You know, they were like hyping each other
And
up.
at least that was a
No,
comedy.
I know that was the thing, and it's like because they were hyping each other up, and they were trying to seem so like badass and like yeah, like we've been doing this, and you were able to ride with, and like the whole time they had no idea what the fuck they were doing. Ah, so silly.
And we're supposed to take them serious in this one. like they're actually like badass vampire hunters.
And that's crazy to me because I don't know who the hell like wrote this, but like they were not gonna let them win because they suck.
Oh man. Well, moving on from our vamp hunters, we have Agent Norris, who was so randomly inserted in this movie. He showed up during Stella's interrogation scene, and also when they were at the motel, he showed up there also. Um, but besides that, it was like his only. He didn't have a. He didn't have any reason to be here. It was kind of they were trying to like. I feel like they were trying to give us like a secondary villain, but like he obviously wasn't a good one. And when he was around, he added nothing. He was just there to be like a nuisance, and then got killed.
Yeah, I think they were trying to like bring back the whole you know how like in the beginning they had that one dude of like helping them out. I guess that's what they were trying to do. But like the
hmm
scene where he bites the that woman to show his whatever. It was so it was not
Yeah,
giving what they thought it was gonna give.
it was
It was
weird.
really weird. I was like I feel like if I was a vampire and I was watching that, I was like, bro, like what like because it was cheesy. That's what it was. It was
Yeah,
like cheesy and it was just like how do I don't know how to explain this. Like I just feel like there were a ton of other ways for him to show his like first of all, he was already showing his loyalty. I don't know what the fuck they were talking about. But I feel like if I was a vampire and I saw that, I feel like I would have been, what the fuck are you doing? Like don't do that. That's not what we're gonna do right now. 'Cause that's weird. It was weird to watch.
yeah, he was very weird.
You know what?
Like very real character.
Sorry, but it was weird because they show you him trying to bite her neck with his regular teeth, but it did not give anything at all. You know, it made it so stupid. Like I started laughing because I was like,
No, I did too. It was very
it
cringy.
was so cringy. I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing? I don't know. I feel like if I was Lilith, I would have been like, I would just started laughing because what the fuck are you doing, bro? Like that's not all.
No, it was.
I don't know. That's just me though. It was just so
Oh
silly. I don't
man.
know.
And then he got taken out in like the funniest way. I mean, Stella did she. I mean, she did her little thing. I didn't really like the recast, but I mean, the way she took him out was funny with the hook and then cutting his head off. That was funny because he thought he was gonna get her.
He did. And I thought, you know, another thing that I like about the movie is that like they were not doing any like character development, you know? Like first of all, her
Mm-mm.
sleeping with that I don't even remember the fucking guy's name, but her sleeping with him felt like it came like out of nowhere, you know?
It did.
And then Holt having such a vendetta, I guess, or whatever the fuck, against Stella also felt like it came out of nowhere. Because it's like you met her like once. Like, I don't, you know? I don't know. It's weird.
Made no sense. Um, since we were already on the subject of her, let's get to Stella, our returning, our only returning, and I'll put that in quotations, character from the first movie. She was recasted, as I mentioned prior, so there's a whole different actress playing her, and it it's while it, yes, we could just say it's not the same because it's not the original one. I don't think this actress maybe even saw the performance of the first actress. Because while yes, Stella in the first movie, like she was kind of headstrong and like you could tell if it got to it, she wouldn't take any shit. But she was also not like for how she was presented in this movie. Like it just felt very different tonally. And honestly, that's for the whole movie, but especially this character that we're supposed to be following from the events of the first movie going into this one. So it just felt really off. There was no growth of the character um, any more than we already got out of the first movie. Obviously, she still missed her husband Eben, but that's about it. Outside of that, everything else that happened to her plot wise was a doing of a different character. Because if honestly, the whole plot wouldn't even happen if she didn't get approached by like the Vamp Hunter squad to like follow along with them and in their crusade against the vampires. But besides that, she didn't. She wouldn't have gotten like pulled into anything, and it just wasn't. It just wasn't presented good for her character. I felt, and a lot of decisions made with her character were weird. Like why, if she loves, if she loved Evan so much, why am I seeing her on the screen having sex with this random man? Especially, it literally came out of nowhere. They didn't show any like prior like connection or looking at each other in any type of way, anything like that. It was just like she literally said like I haven't felt anything in a while, and then they were
That
having
was so
sex.
weird.
Like what?
That was
Like what?
so odd. Like I would have, I don't know. If I was like the dude, I would have been like okay, all right.
Yeah, that was so weird to me. It did not stick at all. That was a weird character decision. Um, Other weird, stupid decision was her choice to try to bring Eben back at the end of the movie. I really feel like her character from the first movie would not have done that,
Yeah,
but they made this one do it because she missed him so much, which, yes, I understand. But I really feel like her character wouldn't have done that. But also, her character should have died. The way she cut her arm, she should have died from blood loss.
I, but, you know,
Because she was out for a
and
while.
I think that scene was also kind of weird because it's uh, like okay, you're gonna cut yourself, right, to get your husband back, but then you do too much, and now you're like about to like pass out because I don't know that whole scene was weird. I did not like,
Yeah, like she cut her arm pretty far and deep.
and it was weird because at first she did it on her hand, and then she did that deep ass cut, and it's like you did that for what? Like, you know, I don't know. I thought it was weird.
Yeah. Yeah, she was not that good the second time around, but I mean, whole different actress, so her whatever her take was, it just was not the take. Now I will say there were some like scenes where she got to kind of be a badass in a sense, which I mean those were good, I guess. Like when they were raiding like that warehouse and she shot out the roof to kind of expose the zombie, like expose the sunlight to the. I keep thinking of zombies for some reason. To expose the rooftop for the vampires so they would die, or when she was like interrogating the one in that scene that made me think of Blade. Um, she's interrogating the one vampire and uh, was like shining the light on them to get him to speak. So there are like some scenes where like she was kind of like doing cool stuff, but I mean, even in this movie, the cool stuff looked kind of corny,
Yeah, just
unfortunately.
everything. It was just a cringy movie, you know? And and I
Yeah.
feel like, and I agree with what you said, that I feel like her trying to bring back Evan, I feel like really took away from her character development. Like,
Hmm.
okay, like, all right, she's trying to get people to know about vampires for her husband that died, and she's trying to, like, killing vampires to ease the pain because she's so numb. And then she has sex with this guy. He makes her feel something, finally. And then she goes, almost dies from trying to revive him because I guess she doesn't know how to cut herself properly. And then he bites her at the end. And it's like, then what the fuck,
That made
I
me
was
laugh.
like, what the heck? Like,
That actually cracked me up.
I just don't. It's like they went all the way back to to square one. Like, honestly, I feel like that scene should have been like in the beginning somewhere, and then she turned vampire. That
Hmm.
would have been good. I feel like it was just so
I would
dumb.
have accepted.
I don't know. I think they just ruined her character.
Yeah, they definitely did. But to round out our little list, we have Lilith, which I mean, we did mention her earlier. Um, she just wasn't a good like villain. She wasn't really. She wasn't really like a good villain. At least, well, not even in my opinion. I just feel like she wasn't a good villain overall. Like I feel like we were supposed to be scared? Question mark. But there wasn't anything done by her character that made me feel any type of way. Um, she just felt like the head vampire, but I feel like there was supposed to be like another one or something, or someone else maybe above her. Like she just didn't give me that energy that she was in charge. Like everyone else seemed like all the other vampires and the main character seemed to know that she was in charge, but she didn't like give that energy. And especially at the end, like at the end of the first movie, we saw Eben have to fight the main vampire. He was getting dragged and everything, and eventually he defeated him after turning himself into like a hybrid or a vampire. In this one, Lilith is just caught off guard by getting her head chopped off. Those are so completely different,
Yeah.
and they didn't it didn't fit.
Yeah, it was just, I feel like a little, like, yeah, like they were making it seem like she was so terrifying and so scary, but like, I mean, I guess because of plot armor or whatever, that like Stella was able to
Hmm.
just kill her right off the bat, but then it's like, then no special about Lilith. Like, what, I wonder if it was just like they were like, Lilith, like, I guess insinuating that she's like the mother vampire or whatever, but you don't see her doing anything like
Hmm.
extraordinary besides giving, telling, these vampires to kill people. You know what I mean? Like, she just didn't
Yeah,
really do much.
that's what I was getting to. Like in my mind, at least from all the other media that I've taken in my little lifetime, like Lilith in this context is usually like the daughter of like like a deity or like a demon or something. So I'm thinking she's probably the daughter of like the guy
Yeah.
and the dude from the other movie. So, but it just wasn't. It just wasn't. It wasn't giving us that, and I think maybe if it was a different actress, they probably could have given it like made it seem more than it was. But that I didn't really get that type of energy from the actress that they casted as Lilith. She didn't really give. She didn't really make me feel. Um, I don't want to say scared, but like not even like, oh, they can't go against this. Like, how are they going to fight? How are they going to defeat her? Like she just looked like any other regular vampires. Honestly, not even. Like you mentioned earlier, she didn't even look like any of the other vampires. She looked like just a regular human with vampire teeth
Yeah,
and pale skin.
and I feel like it's crazy because like they made Stella so badass. You know, they were so focused on making her like to this into like into like a trying to make her into like this killing machine, right? Like giving you some like underworld
Yeah.
shit, But they made Lilith so ordinary. And it's like that's so odd. Then what's the whole point of Lilith? They should have just kept,
Hmm.
the fucking cop as a villain and just left it at that.
Yep. But we've come to the end of our characters, and I'll be giving us the behind the scenes facts and such on the movie. So, due to this being a direct to DVD sequel, we don't know really what the budget was of this movie, nor what the gross was from the DVD sales. I hope they were paid dust. Um, the screenplay of this movie was co-written by Stephen Niles, who helped write the comic book series and the original film. But I don't see how he would pass this off as being an actual thing. And also, this movie is the fourth installment of the 30 Days franchise, as there were some prior miniseries before this release. Aside from that, some critics' reactions. The film has a Rotten Tomato score of 17%, and overall, the film received poor reviews from critics. Fangoria gave the film 1.5 stars out of 4, stating rather than attempt to stay true to source material, it departs from it as the film progresses. What follows is a generic story with flat characters set in an uninspired locale. But enough of them. What do we think? Maria, do you cash or pass on 30 Days a Night, Dark Days?
It is a hard pass. I can't believe I was made to watch this film, even if it's for the podcast. It's so bad. Um, I definitely did not enjoy it and would never watch it again, so I pass.
And Maria, I'm right there with you. I am also passing on this one. This movie felt very lazy. It felt like a misuse of the character Stella from the first movie, who was very good in that one. Um, None of the acting was really up to par here. Um, the effects as well weren't good. The blood looked like dark red Kool Aid. It just
You know what? The blood looked like ketchup. Like, I'm not even. It looks like they just grabbed a ketchup bottle.
Yeah, they just this movie just didn't really do anything overall, and this is the kind of movie that like you don't want to see. And yes, there's a lot of work that goes into creating a movie, anytime movie. And you hate to have to say something's bad, but like if you put out bad work like this, it's just gonna get a bad reception. And it really felt like one of those crappy sci-fi original movies that had like a shoestring budget, but like you're creating a movie off an existing IP. So I know you were given a little bit of money, but either way, yeah, this was not good. Hard pass. And even though Mark was not with us for this episode, he did watch the movie, and he wanted me to tell you all that he passes also. But with that, we come to the conclusion of this episode. And next week, we will be covering the first Conjuring movie. And we will be going through the whole Conjuring universe in theatrical release order. And yeah, so The Conjuring will be our first start of a new franchise. So you guys will be locked in for a good while with us with those. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.